$4.6 billion, stolen in one of the most audacious heists in history. But this isn't Ocean's 11. The criminals? A wannabe rapper who called herself Razzlekhan and her tech bro husband. They didn't disappear to a tropical island. Instead, they made terrible rap videos, bought designer cats, and posted everything online. This is the story of Bitcoin Bonnie and Clyde, the most absurd heist ever committed, and it's 100% real. Meet Heather Morgan, 31 years old, Forbes contributor, self-proclaimed entrepreneur, and a rapper. Her stage name? Razzlekhan. Yes, like Genghis Khan, but with Raz. Razzle-dazzle, if you will. Her music videos are, how do I put this kindly? They're bad, like really, really bad. Think cringy rap lyrics over generic beats, with Heather dressed in outlandish outfits, trying way too hard to be edgy. Samples of her work include lyrics like, I'm many things, a rapper, an economist, a journalist, a writer, a CEO. And my personal favorite, spearfish your password, all your funds transferred. Wait, did she just confess to cybercrime in a rap song? Hold that thought. Heather wasn't just making terrible music. She was also writing for Forbes, doing TED Talks, and positioning herself as a disruptor in the tech and crypto space. She seemed harmless. Weird, but harmless. Meet Ilya Lichtenstein, 115 to 200. Now meet her husband, Ilya Dutch Lichtenstein, 34 years old, a tech entrepreneur, quiet, reserved, the exact opposite of his loud, attention-seeking wife. Dutch co-founded MixRank, a data analytics company, and was involved in various tech startups. He seemed like your typical Silicon Valley bro, smart, ambitious, maybe a little awkward. The couple met in 2014 and got married in 2019. They lived in New York City in a $6,500 a month apartment. They traveled, they partied, they made weird art projects together. On the surface, they looked like any other millennial tech couple trying to make it in the startup world. But behind the scenes, Heather and Dutch had a secret, a huge secret, one that would eventually connect them to the biggest cryptocurrency heist in history. To understand their crime, we need to rewind to 2016, the year when someone, or some group, hacked a cryptocurrency exchange called Bitfinex and stole 119,754 Bitcoin. At the time, that Bitcoin was worth about $72 million. A lot of money, sure, but Bitcoin was still relatively new. Most people didn't take it seriously. But here's the thing about Bitcoin. It appreciated. Fast. By 2021, that stolen Bitcoin was worth $4.6 billion. Yes, billion with a B, and guess who had it? Heather and Dutch. August 2016. Bitfinex, a Hong Kong-based cryptocurrency exchange, was hacked. 119,754 Bitcoin vanished from user accounts. It was the second largest Bitcoin theft at the time. How did it happen? The hackers exploited a vulnerability in Bitfinex's security system. They initiated over 2,000 unauthorized transactions, draining accounts and transferring the Bitcoin to wallets they controlled. The crypto community was in shock. Bitfinex scrambled to contain the damage. They offered a reward for information. They hired cybersecurity firms. But the hackers? They disappeared. The stolen Bitcoin sat dormant for years. Investigators could see it moving on the blockchain, one of the supposed benefits of cryptocurrency's transparency. But they couldn't identify who was moving it. The case went cold. The IRS and FBI watched and waited, fast forward to the arrest. Prosecutors alleged that Lichtenstein, yes, quiet, nerdy Dutch, was the mastermind behind the Bitfinex hack. How did he do it? According to court documents, Dutch used sophisticated hacking techniques to breach Bitfinex's systems. He created fake identities, he laundered the Bitcoin through multiple wallets, mixers, and exchanges to obscure the trail. And here's the kicker, he did it before he even met Heather. The hack happened in 2016. They got married in 2019, meaning Dutch was sitting on a crypto gold mine when they tied the knot. Now, whether Heather knew about the stolen Bitcoin when they got married is unclear. But what is clear is that she became his partner in crime. Over the next few years, Heather and Dutch attempted to launder the stolen Bitcoin. Their methods? Hilariously amateurish for such a massive heist. They used gift cards. Yes, gift cards. They converted Bitcoin into gift cards from places like Walmart and Amazon. Never buy gift cards, people. Fake identities to open accounts on various crypto exchanges, mixers, and tumblers to obscure the Bitcoin's origin, depositing small amounts into bank accounts to avoid detection, converting some Bitcoin into gold and other physical assets. But here's the problem. They were terrible at covering their tracks. They left digital breadcrumbs everywhere. And worse, they couldn't help but flaunt their wealth. Shortly after the 2016 heist, Dutch and Heather quit their jobs. They moved to New York City and rented a luxury apartment for $6,500 a month. They traveled the world. They bought expensive art. They funded Heather's music career. And they acted like they didn't have a care in the world. Heather, in particular, was living her best life. She made cringy rap videos. She gave talks at conferences. She wrote articles for Forbes. She called herself the Crocodile of Wall Street. She bought billboards in Times Square promoting her brand. For someone supposedly sitting on billions of dollars in stolen Bitcoin, she sure loved attention. And then there's the designer cat. Yes, you heard that right. They spent a ridiculous amount of money on a designer cat. Because when you're laundering $4.6 billion in stolen crypto, why not splurge on a fancy feline? But while Heather was busy making terrible music and Dutch was quietly moving Bitcoin, the IRS and FBI were watching, and they were patient. Cryptocurrency transactions are traceable on the blockchain. Investigators could see the stolen Bitcoin moving from wallet to wallet. They just needed to connect those wallets to real people, and eventually, they did. In early 2022, the IRS executed a search warrant on Heather and Dutch's New York apartment. They seized computers, phones, and hard drives. And what did they find? Evidence. Lots of evidence. Private keys to Bitcoin wallets, detailed spreadsheets tracking the laundering operation, communications between Heather and Dutch discussing how to move the money. But here's the crazy part. Even after the raid, Heather and Dutch just kept living their lives. Like nothing happened. They didn't flee. They didn't lawyer up aggressively. They just chilled. February 8th, 2022. The hammer finally dropped. Federal agents arrested Heather Morgan and Ilya Lichtenstein in Manhattan. They were charged with conspiracy to commit money laundering and conspiracy to defraud the United States. At the time of their arrest, the stolen Bitcoin they still controlled was worth approximately $4.6 billion. The largest financial seizure in the history of the Department of Justice. The world was shocked. Not because of the amount, but because of WHO the criminals were. This wasn't a sophisticated hacking group. This wasn't the Russian mafia or North Korean state actors. It was a wannabe rapper and her quiet tech bro husband. Everyone who worked the case, from IRS investigators to former hackers, said the same thing. If you have that much money and a foreign passport, you disappear. You don't stay in New York making rap videos. In 2023, both Heather and Dutch pleaded guilty. Dutch admitted to hacking Bitfinex and stealing the Bitcoin. Heather admitted to helping him launder it. In November 2024, Dutch was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Heather's sentencing is still pending, but she faces up to 5 years as well. As part of the plea deal, they agreed to forfeit the seized Bitcoin. But here's the thing. Bitfinex is only returning the original 2016 value of the Bitcoin to victims. The appreciated difference? They're keeping it. So, the victims who lost $72 million worth of Bitcoin in 2016 are only getting $72 million back, even though that Bitcoin is now worth billions. Talk about adding insult to injury. So, what can we learn from the story of Bitcoin, Bonnie and Clyde? First, cryptocurrency is not anonymous, it's pseudonymous. Transactions are traceable. If you commit a crime using crypto, law enforcement can track you down. It just takes time. Second, if you're going to steal $4.6 billion, maybe don't post your entire life online? Just a thought. Heather's desperate need for attention and validation. was a huge part of why they got caught. Third, just because someone looks like an idiot doesn't mean they aren't capable of sophisticated crimes. Dutch was quiet and awkward, but he hacked one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world. And finally, crime doesn't pay. Dutch is going to federal prison. Heather is likely joining him. They'll spend years behind bars. And for what? They never even got to enjoy the money. They lived in a nice apartment and bought a designer cat. That's it. Was it worth it? Absolutely not. The story of Razzlekhan and Bitcoin. Bonnie and Clyde is one of the most bizarre true crime stories of the decade. It's a cautionary tale about greed, hubris, and the dangers of living your life online. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the craziest heists ever, smash that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Drop a comment below. Do you think Heather knew about the stolen Bitcoin from the beginning? Or did Dutch rope her in later? Let me know your thoughts. Share this video with anyone who loves true crime or cryptocurrency. And if you want me to cover more insane heists, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. And remember, don't steal $4.6 billion in Bitcoin and then make rap videos about it. Just don't.